Tales of the Black Diamond. Tales of the Black Diamond, the butcher of truth, a great anatomist, wanted to find the exact location of the soul. He captured a nightingale, famous for its heartbreakingly beautiful song. The song must be inside, he reasoned. I will cut it out and hold it. He placed the nightingale on his table. With a scalpel of cold logic, he opened the bird's chest. He found a small, wet heart. He found lungs like pink sponges. He found a larynx of cartilage. He laid the parts in a row on the silver tray. There was blood, there was meat, but there was no song. I have been tricked, screamed the anatomist. The bird was empty. The wind blew through the open window, whistling over the bloody tray. You fool, whispered the wind. The song is not a thing you can hold. The song is the friction of the spirit moving through. The form, by taking the form apart, you have silenced the spirit. Moral, you dissect your life with the knife of why and how, looking for meaning. But meaning is a song that only exists when the bird is whole and singing. The miser of breath, a man realized that he had a limited number of breaths allotted to him by fate. I must save them, he thought. If I breathe too much, I will die sooner. So he decided to hold his breath. He took a deep inhale and clamped his mouth shut. He pinched his nose. Now I am immortal, he thought, his face turning red. I am not spending my life force. But the carbon dioxide built up in his blood. His lungs burned. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. The saving of his life became an agonizing torture. Finally, he blacked out, and his body forced a gasp of air. He woke up weeping. A master standing nearby laughed. You try to hoard God, said the master, but God is a flow. You can only keep the breath by giving it away. The pause you seek is not the holding on, but the resting between. Moral security is suffocation. Life is only found in the risk of exhalation. The king of the empty castle, a conquering warlord, laid siege to a castle on a hill. He expected a massive army to fight back. He brought catapults, battering rams, and thousands of soldiers. They smashed the gates. They stormed the courtyard. It was empty. They stormed the keep. It was empty. They stormed the throne room. It was empty. There was no gold. There were no soldiers. There was no king. There was just silence and the wind blowing through the stone arches. The warlord stood in the center of the throne room, trembling. If there had been an enemy, he could have fought. If there had been gold, he could have looted. But against the emptiness, he was powerless. His sword was useless. His anger had no target. The silence of the castle swallowed his roar and made him feel small, foolish, and mortal. He dropped his sword and fled in terror. Moral, the ego prepares for a fight, but the self defends itself by being nothing. You cannot conquer a void, you can only fall into it. The shadow that ate the man. A man walked in the desert, proud of his strength. He cast a long, dark shadow. I own you, the man said to the shadow. You move when I move, you are my slave. The shadow said nothing. It waited until noon when the sun was high and the heat was unbearable. The man grew weak. He collapsed on the sand, dying of thirst. As the man withered, the shadow grew. The sun began to set, and the shadow stretched out, longer and darker, until it covered the hills. Now, whispered the shadow, you are small and I am vast. You are fading and I am merging with the night. When the man took his last breath, the shadow did not die. It simply joined the infinite darkness of the universe. The man was just a temporary obstacle that had blocked the eternal dark for a few years. Moral, you think you possess your consciousness, but your consciousness possesses you. You are just a brief interruption in the light. The fire that burned the reflection. A young monk was obsessed with a painting of a demon. He was terrified of it. He covered it with a cloth, but he knew the demon was underneath. He locked it in a chest, but he felt the demon's presence in the wood. I must destroy it, he said. He built a bonfire. He threw the painting into the flames. He watched the canvas curl and blacken. The demon's face twisted in the heat and vanished into ash. I am free, shouted the monk. No, said his teacher. You have burned the paper, but you have etched the demon into your mind. By fighting it, you have made it real. Now, even without the painting, you will see the demon in the smoke." "What should I have done?" cried the monk. "You should have looked at the painting," said the teacher, "until you saw that it was only paint. Paint cannot bite. Canvas cannot kill. You do not burn the illusion, you recognize it." Moral: to destroy a thought is to give it power. Do not burn the ghost, turn on the light.
Legs.